What's going on, everybody, man? Welcome to Movie Poop Shoots. This is the place where, a couple of assholes talk shit about movies, but not really shit, you know what I mean? I'm James,
I'm John.
and we got a lot of fun stuff going on for you today. John, tell them a little bit about what we're going to be doing.
So today we got a creature design we're working on for all the people who joined us last week, or on the last video rather. We're working on a post-apocalyptic world where a meteor hit the Earth.
Yes.
And kind of set everything back. So we're like 1,000 years in the future, but some stuff is more advanced, some stuff is more back in time. And this is kind of just based on our idea to take something from its first ideas. Like we were on the phone, we're like, hey, this is our first ideas at it. Let's go from scratch all the way to something that we can pitch, putting together materials that we can make something with.
Absolutely. And so yeah, you guys are starting with us. Everything we're doing, we're building directly from scratch. We don't even know where the story is going to go. We're literally just building a world, man. And using this time to kind of put our creative juices into trying to advance ourselves a little more in what we work in. So, we told you a little bit about ourselves. I work in the movie business. John works in
the art business.
The art business. He does a lot of illustration. And
yeah, I worked for mostly worked in illustration, comic books, and advertising. As far as art, I've done I've done concept art here and there, but most of my a lot of character design stuff. But yeah, like I said, most of my stuff has been in comic books, illustration, character design, and advertising.
Absolutely. And if you want to know any more about us, man, just go ahead. You can click, our bios are in the link down below, man, and make sure you watch our first video because it tells a lot about us. But yeah, getting into this illustration, man. What you got for us, John?
Yeah, so we had talked a little bit about creating a creature for this world. When you had said that the comet hit the Earth, we started thinking about all the ways that would impact the Earth. Obviously, yes. It would level cities and stuff like that. But thinking a little deeper than that, it would probably, uncover, the crust of the Earth, and who knows what's in that,
Absolutely.
So we're thinking maybe, it maybe melted some of those tar pits and maybe some of those dinosaurs, or maybe even that some of the dinosaur eggs were preserved and hatched, and then and dinosaurs are out and living with us, even though it's, in the future. It's a little bit of the past.
We're kind of like we're back in the past now. So I actually came up with kind of an idea, but before I speak that idea, John, did you want to run through the reference art with everybody, man, just so they can kind of get on the same page before I tell this story, or you want to do it vice versa?
Sure. So been doing a lot of research in creature design, stuff like that. We obviously wanted to work on we had the idea of dinosaur, something that would be cool would be like a velociraptor.
Yes.
We had thrown around the idea that dinosaurs were in fact covered in feathers and more bird-like than people might think, which is also something we've learned from science that might be true. So with that, I wanted to kind of explore what those things would look like, and it brought me to some of my older sketches that I've worked on. As far as some creature stuff, but I thought it was really applicable. So this is some stuff I worked on before for a creature that's kind of like half deer, half bird. So what you kind of do here, these are some anatomy sketches that you would take and do after you did the thumbnails. Thumbnails, are just little silhouettes you want to make, little sketches to just show different shapes and different ideas, and and how far you can push design. These are some more anatomical reference studies of a wing, because if I want to know how to push it, I got to know how it actually works in real life.
Yes, how it actually moves and does everything. Okay.
And then this is kind of an interesting one with the bird leg, the feathers kind of attached into the legs, which is kind of something that I kind of used on our raptor creature. Nice. And that's the cool thing with it out there, people, is you can research this stuff, But then after you researched a bunch, you can keep using it. I mean, keep using that information, you know?
Yes.
So this is kind of how, you know, a bird wing kind of sprawls out. This one's actually probably better representation, kind of the arm to the other, you know, to the elbow, to the forearm, to, you know, as if these were little fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
so
it.
This is, you know, this is some kind of cool stuff like that. And then, you know, it's helpful to look at this stuff, and it's helpful to look at, you know, all this kind of stuff, you know, looking at reference, looking at ideas. This is some more stuff, you know, just to, you know, I always like to do, I mean, it's really helpful to do this, is to put together like a little mood board, put together like a little reference board. Even if you're not going to take it all the way from this stuff, like obviously what we're going to draw is going to look a lot more like a raptor than any of these things, but it gives us some cool ideas for, you know, in the same way that maybe the eye is kind of covered in like a tight scale pattern.
Absolutely.
On our raptor creature here.
If you actually,
it's kind of the same thing, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you actually look at the picture that you have of the raptor, that I'm not sure if you did that one. I think you're using that as a reference piece.
Yeah.
I think if you look at that, it looks very similar to what a bird's eye would actually look like.
Yeah.
Like very much similar. So I think a lot of people, like when they go and they do these, I think when they were doing the the creature designs for the dinosaurs, like in Jurassic Park, I think they used, because they even made reference to these animals being more bird-like than they were reptile-like, you know?
Yeah.
So that actually kind of brings me to my story and kind of the basis on what we actually want to bring to this creature.
Mm-hmm.
So in this world that we're building, I've come up with an idea that the land, I call it Horas Hazem, which basically means Horas, meaning the bird god of Egypt, and then Hazem, which means to overcome. So this land is a place of conquerors. These people want to conquer the world, and they kind of follow a similar pattern to how ancient Egypt kind of did, but with kind of a more modern twist, because, you know, people are uncovering things from what was back 1,000 years ago, you know?
Exactly.
And I feel like some of the people might have even migrated from different places.
Yep.
And, you know, maybe there was actually a person who was really heavy into, like, you know, what are the people that, like, dig up stuff? Not the paleontologists, but the people. Archaeologists, yes. Where they, you know, they'll dig up stuff and kind of get reference. But I feel like, you know, someone from that time, maybe they kind of survived and they wanted to kind of bring back this type of culture and started kind of like wanting to own the world.
Yeah.
That's going on in this time that we live in now. And they have this whole 1,000 years to pretty much do that. Now, mind you, where I feel like the story is going to take place when we actually start writing it is right there at that thousand year mark. But there's all this history that's happened before it. So the way I've kind of envisioned it is I'm going to start from what immediately happens, you know, at the time of the actual comet hitting the Earth, and I'm working my way forward. Then I'm going to tell the story backwards, which kind of leads us into, you know, these creatures right here. So I believe that these raptors were tamed by these people, and these are the animals that they ride, you know, to conquer the lands. And
that's like a really cool idea. I mean, and you can just see how, you know, obviously, like, you know, just like with horses, right? There's racing horses, there's war horses, there's all kinds of horses, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's like, so a civilization that, you know, might have something like this happen where, like, there's all these, you know, raptors going around and people are riding them. You know, they'd use it for all kinds of stuff. You know, so it's so to race them, you know, is totally believable, right?
Yeah, 100%, dude. Yeah, and when I envision them, right, like, like the people who ride these, like, you know, there'd be like a king, like a pharaoh almost, but like he's like the conqueror, you know what I mean? And he rides like the most badass one of them all, man. The one who can like really fly. Maybe the biggest breed of
I like that. Maybe the one that can really fly. That's a good idea.
Yes. And all the rest of them, while they have like feathers and everything, they can run, they can jump really high, they can glide.
Yeah.
Or maybe only, 2 or 3 of them can actually do some flying. They have to reach a certain age before they can actually fly.
Yeah. Or maybe it's like a certain breed, like a rare breed, or I don't know. I'm just,
yeah.
Who knows?
And mind you, we're just spitballing these ideas as we come up with these ideas for these creatures. But definitely, so the civilization, Harasazim, is, to me,
I love
in
that
my
name.
mind. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, so I went and I did a bunch of research, like, on like how you say things in ancient Egypt, like tongue, which was apparently is Arabic, right?
Oh, really?
Yes. And so I tried to figure out like how to say certain words. So like, and then if I'm saying any of these things wrong, please correct me, or pronouncing these things wrong, tell me in the comments below. But like Asmar, right? Asmar, it means black. And I was like combining all these words to try to pick out the right words, right? To fit them all. So black, because I was thinking of these creatures as, since they arose from the ashes, right? Like, I feel like, have you ever heard the story of the how the crow was made, or the it's kind of like a folklore, which,
from the movie Good Crow?
Well, no, not the movie The Crow, but there's a story. It's like an ancient, like native story, right?
No, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I'll have to find it, man. I'll put the link in the description below to this story. But anyways, the crow basically used to be like an amazing songbird, right? And it was white and it was iridescent, like they called it rainbow bird.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so basically, what happened was, like, I guess God, like, or who they assumed to be God, like, created like this he blanketed the world in like a snow, and so like it was getting really cold for everyone. And I guess this bird, who was like as white as the snow, and like it the way its feathers like shimmered and everything, it was just like the most beautiful bird that you can find. Long story short, all the animals of the earth were asking this bird, since it was supposed to be like closely related to God, to go fly up to heaven, right? And ask God, for all of these things. So he goes and he flies up, and he asks God for all these things. And then when the bird comes back, God apparently like gave him a gift, which he didn't fully understand at first. So he comes back and he gets scorched from, flying back down. And he basically is no longer this white color. He's black, and his voice gets hoarse from, you know what I mean, like inhaling all the flames and everything. And he ends up being black. And so God explains to the bird, he's like, well, why did you do this? And he's like, because now I don't have my beautiful singing voice and this and that. And God was basically telling the bird, hey, he was like, the reason why I did that is so now you'll truly be free. He was like, because you won't have to sing for man. Wow. He was like, I made your voice hoarse, so you won't have to sing for man. He's like, I also made your feathers black, so it's not appealing that people want to capture you.
Really?
Yeah. So look, I'm going to link the actual story below down in the description.
That's interesting, though.
It's an amazing story, dude. But the feathers, if you actually look at the feathers of a crow, while they're black, they're still iridescent.
Yeah, they still have a lot of color in there.
Yes. And so that was kind of how I kind of saw these raptors kind of being like, they arise from the ground through the ashes, so they're like dark, and as they grow, they still grow these feathers, but they're very similar to crow feathers, and they're very warrior looking,
Yeah. What do you think so far, James?
I love what you've got going on so far. I definitely, and I know you're doing just kind of the colorization of everything going on right now, but definitely, like, you know how we discussed in the new Jurassic Park, like the new raptors kind of have like feathers kind of coming out of their head a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm gonna try to look it up on my phone. Oh, and while I'm sitting here thinking about it, I meant to say this earlier in the beginning of the video to all the people. If you're here with us right now and you're just tuning in, man, I just want to say to everybody, thank you. And we really appreciate all the love and support, man, that everybody gave us on our first video. If you're here watching this right now, man, this is definitely a special thank you. Definitely when you come by, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Let it be the first thing that you do. And I'm going to make sure that every video that we do beforehand, I'm gonna tell you, smash that thumbs up button, man. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications, man, so you'll know when we come on. We plan to definitely do a lot of lives. We've got merch coming soon. That John designed our logo. So if you see our logo, John designed that, man. Absolutely love it. I designed the t-shirts and the font and everything. I took some inspiration from a couple different things and put the fonts in there.
Yep.
And we got merch coming, so we plan to do some giveaways for our next video. We're gonna make it a quick video, and we're gonna basically do it quick little tips and tricks on, like, if you're trying to be a content creator just like us, and all the little technical things that you run into. So all the things that we learn, especially for the lighting side, or just making sure that you look good in your camera, setting up like a background just based on things that you might have in your house.
And James is going to help me with all that too.
Absolutely.
You can tell which one of us is the lighting artist and which one of us is the concept artist or the illustrator.
Absolutely. And don't think you need a lot of money to make any of these things happen. If you have some money to spend it by any means. Get an actual, light that you can use, like a diffuse like LED light or something like that. Spend a couple $100. And honestly, you don't even have to spend a couple $100. I feel like a lot of those lights now, those lighting kits are getting very cheap. So, I mean, if you really want to buy a nice diffused soft light that'll actually still light you up, though, that your camera can definitely pick up, man, you should be able to get any of those lights relatively cheap now. But me, I'm not using that. I made my own thing up. So it's not like you need to be a professional lighter and get this professional equipment to make a good looking video.
And it's the same thing for anyone trying to do art. You don't need to buy the nicest tablet. You don't need to buy the nicest computer. That was my big misconception for a long time. Is I was like, oh no, I don't have the money for a computer or a tablet or any of those things. I bought my first computer, my first laptop for like $350. I think I bought my first tablet for $50, and I think I bought my first software, Clip Studio Paint, for $50. So, for whatever that was, $350, $400. That's it, So you don't got to spend a whole ton of money, and I've been using those. I used that for years, and it made me a ton of money.
Absolutely. So
you don't got to have the nicest stuff. Of course, I got a lot nicer stuff now, but when you're starting out, you don't need all that. That's always the thing. People want to like buy a bunch of nice stuff before like at the beginning. You don't need all that.
No, you don't. You absolutely 100% do not. Me even being a lighting person, I don't even own my own light. I mean, the light that I'm using right now is, it's a professional light, but I'm using a model light on an actual strobe for photography. So I do my own photography and everything too. So I have some strobe lights, and this one actually has a model light, but I just put a diffuser over it, and then I put kind of like a net to try to actually cut the intensity down, because it was like reading super bright on my face. I mean, you still got a little hot spot there and there, but I'm gonna dial this in as we keep going on. But that's kind of what I want to bring to you guys is how to do that without,
And that's the nice thing is just like how James is learning a lot about concept art, I'm learning a lot about lighting. I mean, about real lights. Yeah. I don't know too much about like how it all really works. You know what I mean? Like I know you put the light here, you put the light there. This is where the shadows, seem to fall. But as far as like what light creates what real light in real life, what does a tungsten light do? What are some of the other lights?
So
what does a tungsten light do?
So tungsten is basically color temperature.
It's not a color temperature. I know what that means, but
yeah. Scratch that, people. It's not color temperature. Kelvin is the color temperature. But a tungsten light basically is a light that is produced more of heat.
Yeah, that's right. So that's the one that everyone sweats with, right?
That's why everyone noticed that I got my white towel and I'm sweating because it's hot, it's because it's hot. See, that's the one thing about the new lights with the LEDs and everything. Mm-hmm. It ain't gonna be hot in your house. It'll be nice. It'll cool. You won't sweat. That's why
that's the nice thing is tungsten looks really good, right?
It does. See, and so that's the thing. So tungsten gives a nice, beautiful, warm light.
It's like the light you got, right?
Exactly.
It's like that nice. It's almost like an orangish, yellowish hue.
Yes, and it goes good for skin tones.
And you know who painted like that was Rembrandt. He used to paint ugly people with nice lighting.
Yes. Well, I mean, honestly, you use a tungsten light, man, you can make anybody look beautiful with it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
The only thing about tungsten light, though, that I will say, a lot of times, depending on where the source is coming from, a lot of times you might use like if you're actually using like real lights, you might be using a Fresnel, which is a type of light, a type of lens, basically a Fresnel lens.
Is that Italian or something?
No, I don't think it's Italian. I'll have to look up the word. It's a lens, and basically what it does is the Fresnel light. It can it gives like very direct light, but most of the time you should be able to adjust it to where you could pull out, but it's very direct, so you'll get very hard shadows. If everyone notices, there's no shadows going on here, and the reason why that is because I broke it up with some diffusion. But I still kept my color. Now, mind you, I could have changed the color temperature and everything and made it much more blue here. But again, this is all for another video. We don't want to get too much into it. I don't want to spoil all my.
I think people like it.
Yeah, no, I think they do, man. You know what? Just for shits and giggles, I'm going to change the color temperature of my light during this video. But
that's cool.
Because I actually found the picture that I was looking for. So, can I make that big? All right, can you see that, John? In my screen?
A little bit, yeah.
So you see how it's got those scales, but they're kind of coming off his head, and I swear on some of the other ones it had like feathers or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find that actual scene, but.
See, so what do you think? So
something very similar to that. No, what you've got going on right there is almost dead on, kind of like what I'm envisioning in my head.
Perfect. Love hearing that.
And what's amazing is even down to like the nails and like the hands are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can find another picture. Yeah.
I remember when I watched, Jurassic Park when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing those velociraptors, it was crazy.
Yes. It's like they kind of taught you a little bit of something about the dinosaur world.
Yeah.
You learned a little. Now, what I find the most amazing about that is the fact that here it is, they're bringing to life something that did actually exist, but they really had no idea on how they all actually acted.
Yeah.
They really go based on what they kind of knew, what science kind of told them. Other than that, like the way that they said that raptors, hunted in a pack and were smarter than most of all of the other dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Like they can figure things out. Like, did they actually?
And then it was that one thing about how the Tyrannosaurus, he can see, like if you don't move, he can't see you, right?
Yeah.
But with the Velociraptors, that's not the case, right?
That wasn't the case. And the truth of it is, listening to some other paleontologists, they say that the whole Tyrannosaurus not being able to see you thing was like, that makes no sense. That was something that they just kind of added. Yeah, they're like, no, he would have definitely been able to see you, and yeah.
Yeah, he's got a giant eye. His eye is like as big as a cow.
Right?
Of course he can see.
It's like, no, just don't move. Okay, I'm not moving. No, he could see you. It's like, I feel like if he could talk, he'd be like, he's like, yeah, I can't see you at all. Please. He's like, where'd you go? Yeah. Yeah,
dang, man. So this is coming along, huh?
Oh yeah, nah, man. It looks incredible, dude. I can't wait to see what you do with the color.
I know.
And just having that idea of this being this black bird with tons of color. How would you do something like that in this computer program?
It's very impossible, my friend.
Is it?
But we're gonna give it a shot.
I have every faith that you can. And see, that's what's so exciting about what it is that we've got going on here. And if anybody else happens to know, I mean, or if they have any videos to it, or you have any references on how that can possibly be done, what is the program that you're using, John?
Clip Studio Paint.
Clip Studio Paint. So if there's any possible way that he can make something look iridescent in there,
we'll give it a shot. I think we'll be able to. I think we'll be able to come up with
I think you could do it. I think you can come up with it, dude.
But yeah, if anyone knows, that would be helpful.
If anyone knows,
and if anyone knows a better way, please tell me those ways.
If you are a lighting person, right? Just to jump back on that real quick. Always make sure you got your gels, man.
What is that?
So this basically changes the color of the light, man.
What?
Yeah. So I could change to pretty much any of these colors.
So now this one changes the whole mood of the scene, right?
Absolutely. Well, when you get deeper into lighting, man, lighting, it's funny. A lot of people really don't understand how important lighting a scene actually is. Like how important the light is to that scene. When you're on set, there's some very key components to what's going on. And it usually starts with, when we start the build, it usually starts with the art department. The art department starts the build. You know, maybe they have the builders, they put up the flats or whatever is going to go on. Then they decorate it. And then right behind them, we kind of work hand in hand with the lighting people. You know what I'm saying? So while that's going on, while they're putting everything together, lighting people are trying to figure out, okay, well, how are we going to light this? What's the mood we're going to give? You know what I mean? Like, what's the mood in the story? Is this a scary scene? Is it dark? Are we only using little bits of light? And blocking is very important too. So using things to block the light, such as, like, you know, you'll usually have like some flags or like this right here, some scrap duvetine, you know what I mean? That way we could cut the light to do things like, if I can find something black, I could probably do it with a book. Now, the only thing is I'm going to try to cut light that's broken up. That's very hard to do. So I probably won't be able to necessarily do that. No, kind of a little bit. So it's like, hey, I want a little less light on the right side of his face. So you'd get a flag and you'd go in there and you'd cut that out. If anybody could see that on the thing.
And you just hold it.
Well, you don't hold it. You'd put it on a stand and it's all
right,
that's exactly where I need the light to be, you know? But now if I were to remove this diffusion and have it just be direct light, which they would call it specular light, it would be more intense, and that's where you get those dramatic shadows. So film noir was super famous for that.
Yeah, high contrast, right?
High contrast, that's exactly it, man. And mind you, a lot of those ones were done in black and white, so it really but that's what I mean by adding to the feeling of the, you know, the mood, the overall mood of your scene.
Yeah. And you know, that's what I think is really cool. If you watch like old film, the shots were so much better.
They were.
Like, I guess you could say they were more consistently high quality. Like, you know, especially when they were black and white.
Do you know why?
I felt like you just didn't have anything else to worry about with color, so you were framing everything great, you know?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's even bigger than that. So in my opinion, in the digital age, right? Everything's all digital now. You're not working with film. So it's okay if you don't get it right away.
Yeah.
And it almost allows us to be a little more sloppy with our lighting. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, we'll just fix it in post. Or it's like, I just kind of generally need it lit kind of a certain way, and you're figuring it out as you go. If you'll notice, back in the day when they were filming those older movies with film noir, when movies were really shot on film, it's like you can't waste film. So every single detail of every single thing that you wanted in that scene had to be perfect.
Yeah.
Because you weren't going to necessarily get a second chance on it. And so that's why when you go look at the lighting and, you know, the overall builds that they had in there, and the way they decorated, and it, like, everything is so overly detailed.
Yeah, high quality.
High quality because they didn't have time to just, oh, you know what? Let's just throw this in there. Let's try this. Let's try that. There was no try. It was, I need it to look just like this.
Yeah. And, you know, that's the interesting thing is, like, when they're like, oh, you know, with all these things, it's like they're making so many movies. You know, back in the day, they were making hecka movies.
Yes.
You know, like in the 50s and the 40s and all, or in the 50s and the 60s and stuff. It's like there were so many movies and westerns and made for TV movies, and just like so many things. You look at a director's filmography back then, and they got like 35 movies.
Yeah.
And you're like, how the heck did he do that? And it was just like, and someone you never even heard of, and you're just like, man, I guess they used to make a bunch of movies.
They used to make a bunch of movies, man.
But it's kind of like that, you know, now with Netflix and Amazon and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And we're definitely going to be diving into this, people, as we go further along with our reviews and things like that. But we just wanted to become a part of it. So therefore, we're building our own world.
Yep.
We are building our own world. And that all the detail within that little small time of what we just talked about, of what you got going on with this raptor right here, dude, is incredible, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, you know, so this has been pretty cool, you know. It's been coming out well. This rider lady's been coming out well. Everything's been coming out pretty good, you know. It's actually almost ready for color. I'd say maybe like 5 more minutes and we're there.
Absolutely. We're gonna have to do this raptor again. I noticed you got a woman on this one, but in my mind, man, I want to at some point in time see it with when we develop my guy character, my king that I kind of see in my head. I'm refraining from speaking too much about him because I want to try to save it for another video. But the person who rides this bird, like, I need to see them on top of him, you know.
And this is kind of the idea of the prototype. But when, you know, when we're talking about, you know, maybe for the king, maybe it's an even cooler bird. Maybe. Like you were saying, like maybe it's even cooler bird. So it's cool that we drew this one first.
Yes.
You know, because then we'll see that other one, and it'll be like, you know, the king of these birds or something.
Yeah, and I honestly, I feel like that's what this is all about, man. Is you don't know till you come up with the things, and we sit here, we collaborate, and that's why collaboration is so important, people. You know, collaborating with each other.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do anything in the art world, I feel like collaboration is such a major part of it. You know, watching all the ideas come to one cohesive thing, you know? So I'm gonna dig into my my little thing. I wonder if I have any color correction in here. I should. But I'm not sure if this is the pack that contained color correction.
You never know.
It should have. Endeavor, England.
Man, this is okay. This thing's almost there.
Yeah, I think this is a party color. Did the color change a little bit?
It did. What's it supposed to be? A little purple. Yeah, I was gonna say it was a little more purple.
Well, it's actually blue. But sometimes blue colors, after you put them up to the light, can, to your eye, come out as purple.
Really?
Yes.
And that's kind of a thin line, right?
It's a very thin line.
Dark blue and purple.
Absolutely.
All right, man. I think this is ready for, or almost.
I think you're ready for some color, man.
Yeah, maybe like 1 minute, and we are ready. And then, see, so what I would do here, guys, is I would take it to about this level. You know, I might take it further, but I don't know. It looks pretty good. And what I would do here is, since it's looking pretty good, I would just probably put a layer on top of this and go multiply. And that's just to like put in any, and for anyone who doesn't know, multiply just multiplies all the darks.
Yeah. So
if you're putting in all the darks right here, this is kind of a cheap way to do it, but you know, I don't know, because I've spent because I'm really happy with this drawing, I don't really want to affect it too much. And that's why I like to use multiply in a situation like this. And this is just adding little bit here. She actually doesn't need too much. That cool. And then so we're just darkening the parts that would be a little bit darker here on the bottom. Stuff that's inside here. It's just, and all that's just to give it a little more realism, base it a little more in realism, make it a little more powerful.
Yeah.
And then this is a nice thing to do, is give your character a shadow, especially if it's like on the ground like this, just because it's going to really ground your character much more and not make it just like floating in space.
Yeah, it really feels like it's actually on the ground. And you have a light source pretty much coming from on top of it.
Yeah. Cool. This one was I thought this was going to be really difficult, but it's a testament to, you know, I did a bunch of preliminary sketches. For anyone who can see on my little, just on my, I'm not going to blow it up for you guys, but just to see, just these little sketches I did. These are great, you know. You're like, oh, that's just a little tiny sketch, but I've never, you know, I haven't drawn a raptor before. It's good to just, even if it takes like these 2 little 5-minute sketches, you learn a ton.
Yeah.
You know, and you really remember stuff
looks
better.
like you've been drawing raptors your entire life.
Exactly. So you can see you can kind of see where it was like first raptor, second raptor. See, this third raptor is getting a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Then this gets to fourth raptor, where that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And I drew that for a while, and I used some Copic markers and a Copic pen and some pencil, and that was kind of it. And a little bit of white gel pen. But that's, you know, just to get my ideas out there. And then that's kind of what led me to this, which is kind of the idea that we're running with here. You know?
I see it.
And I got him holding a little fake mouse there. That's why he's. And that's kind of how my sketches will go. Like a lot of my studies will be more real and from life, and then a lot of my sketches will actually be a little more cartoony.
Yeah.
And what you get is kind of the effect is kind of at the end is something like this, you know. And I really, you know, I don't know, I really like that about it, you know. And that's someone said, like, the stuff you can't shake in art is the stuff that's your style.
Yes.
I really believe that, you know.
100%. I would definitely say you definitely have kind of a comic book vibe to a lot of your illustrations.
Thanks, man. Yeah, well, I worked in comics for a long time, and I still do a little bit of comic work here and there. Yeah. I was actually thinking about maybe next week we could do like a little bit comic stuff, you know.
Definitely.
So just, you know, a little bit about how to make a comic, like, you know, maybe even just a quick video about how to make a comic, how to draw one, how to lay one out, you know, like.
Right.
A lot of people don't know this stuff, and what James and I have learned in this business is like even I mean, you take your craft seriously and be good, but the big thing is presentation.
Absolutely.
Like, people want it presented that exact way. So like for concept art, you'd want to present, like, you'd want to have like a bunch of thumbnails, right? And you'd want to have like all like kind of paintings building. I mean, all these sketches and drawings and thumbnails all building to one painting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you want turnarounds of that character. You know,
Yes.
so a modeler can work on that. But for illustration, maybe it's only a sketch, a line drawing, a gray drawing, and then the finished drawing or finished painting. You know.
Yeah.
And with comic books, it'd be like a pencil stage, an ink stage, and then you send it to a color. So that's 3 people's job, and then you send it to a letterer.
Yeah.
And then, you know, not to mention the writer and the editor. So it's a lot of people who work on a comic book page, you know.
And what I like about comics is even though that the actual layout of a comic, you know, is like very true to what comic books are, but they're almost very similar to, you know, a storyboard and in what you would need to make a moving picture.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why
I feel like they go hand in hand.
I do too. And I think that's why so many comics are getting picked up for television and for movies, is because they're basically, I mean, you got to think how nice is that for like a head of a studio or whoever greenlights these movies to do.
Right.
You're like, well, I don't know what it is. It's like, well, here's a book. Read it in 15 minutes, and then you can see what this is.
Yeah,
and then there's no
entire story.
And there's no surprise. You're like, oh, I know exactly what I got. You know.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, let's make that. You know. The thing I don't ever understand is when they buy like a property and they spend a ton of money and they change everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never get that. I'm like, why didn't you just save all the money and just make that thing? Because no one was going to be like, hey, that was thing. You know.
They always got to put their own stamp to it. Because everybody wants a piece of the pie. You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
Like somebody could come in and pick up this idea that we're doing right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
they can't because we're what's it called? Copywriting it.
Yes, we're going to definitely copyright it. However, that being said, like if someone wanted to come in and actually buy our story off of us, even after we copyright it, right?
Yeah.
They would still change a lot of what we've already done.
They would change a ton of it
to keep it, you know, to again put their own stamp on it, to be like, it's our idea.
Exactly.
That's why I was saying in the last video, everything is a remix, man.
Yep.
There's no real original idea. There's just a lot of the same. You just got to make it interesting.
Yeah. It's true. You got to do your own take on it. I mean, you do got to do your own take on it. And that's why that keeps happening.
Yeah.
Because there's no real other option.
It's like you're not reinventing the wheel. You're just making the wheel better.
Yeah.
More luxurious.
So even on this, you can see it's probably too, you know, this is what we were talking about last week, right? It's like, is your instincts with painting, right?
Yeah.
Like your instinct is like, oh, this should be brighter. You know, these are the lights. This is where the light would hit it.
Mm-hmm.
But in real life, it's probably not that bright, right?
Yeah. Even if it were black, like if it were the color black, right? Which black is actually not a color, but that's for a different day.
Good catch.
Yes. If it were dark, it's like the way we still see it, you know, you would still see light on it. Think about any movie, any TV show that you watched where they're technically in the dark, right? When you think about that, it's like, well, that really makes no sense, because if we were in the dark, you couldn't see.
Yeah.
But even in nature, there's natural light everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got moonlight, you know what I'm saying? You've got, depending on where you're at, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe it's reflecting off the water.
It might be reflecting off the water. There might be a reflection. There might be a fire somewhere. Someone's got campfire going on. You know what I mean? Easily. So it's not that we can't necessarily see. We can.
Yeah.
But not that great. And how can I say this? So with a fire, right?
Yeah.
What I really like about like the way a fire moves and the light that it gives off. It's like it'll only light up the area that it's around, depending on how big the fire is. But think of like a campfire.
Mm-hmm.
A campfire gives off this really moody light.
Yeah,
it's very moody. It's got a mood to it.
Yeah,
the mood can be frightening, or
mm-hmm.
the mood could even be sexual. You know what I'm saying? Like it can be these different varieties of things,
depending on whatever it says in the script, right?
whatever
like,
it says in the
it's
script.
not like
whatever's
an
going on.
Yeah, it's not an accident that people are feeling a certain mood in the movie scene, right? It's
Exactly.
a combination of the situation, the color,
Mm-hmm.
the sound, the music, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And think about it like this, right? Let's say we have a scene. It's a man and a woman, and they're hanging out by a fireplace.
Yeah.
And you see the fire, right? Let's just say the fire is even in the shot, and you know that's what's lighting up your subjects.
Oh, yeah.
So that kind of creates that mood. It's like, oh, man, woman by the fireplace, they're hanging out, they're cuddling. Okay, you get that vibe.
Yeah.
But also, you can flip it, and let's just say it's just a woman.
Yeah.
Sitting by the fireplace in the woods, and all you can see is her and this fire, and you can't. And now you're not looking at the fire. Yeah. You're just looking at her, knowing that the fire is casting a shadow. Maybe in the background they might hear the sounds of crackling. You'll see the light dancing from the fire. You know what I mean? Like on pretty much blackness, because that light can only reach so far.
Exactly.
That creates a different mood.
Yeah.
Now you're like, well,
like maybe something's burning, or something,
Yeah. Well, it's not even necessarily that. It's like, okay, that same campfire, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, depending on which way you're looking, and what you have going on in the scene, the man and woman, that creates one vibe, and then just the woman by herself, and you're not looking at the fire, and all you can see is like blackness. But the fire only reaches up to a certain point. So you can see trees, but you can't see beyond them. Yeah. Now that creates a different vibe, a kind of uneasy, unsettling vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And fires create its own shadows. You can have a branch sitting there, maybe floating somewhere nearby, or it's a rock. And because fires dance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's creating like a huge shadow because it's a very hard light source.
See, and here's a lesson for everybody. Don't go too dark. You want to keep it all in the same context of the painting. Because like if I were to go like right here with like true black, now that's all you can see.
Yeah.
Even if it was tasteful, right? Like even if it was with pencil, that still looks really bad.
Yeah.
So what you guys want to do is you want to keep it within a range. So can everyone can you see that James? Yes. That's, so the nice thing about doing a grayscale painting is that, and I talked about this before, is that you can control just like the tones, and you can just paint within the tones without having to think of the math of how colors go, right? And there's a ton of tutorials and color theory stuff out there. So if you guys are unfamiliar with that, give it check those out. So what I would do is I like to stay between this kind of range. I guess it's between like a 6 and a 3 or a 4, something like that. And then maybe just use like something like this for the really high highlights and something like this for like the really darks. But even then, I don't even know if I'd go down.
Yes, give me 1 second, John. Sorry.
Sure. So here we're just laying in the last of the stuff, the last of the stuff before we go to color. And it's looking pretty good.
100%, dude. It's coming out amazing. And I know once we start adding this color, that's when everything is about to get real.
Yeah, this is the kind of like everyone loves the color. I really love this part. I really love the grayscale painting because if we can get it tight here, it's so nice. It does so much of the work for us. And also it's for me, it's so much easier because it's like I said before, I'm not thinking about science. I'm thinking just about tones. I'm just thinking about making this tone right and that tone right.
Exactly.
It's a lot easier. Okay.
A
So
lot
basically,
easier.
we are ready for color. I mean, in real life, I'd probably go a little longer. I mean, like if I was, for a project, I'd probably get rid of all these like lines, but I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know if I should. It's kind of a preference thing, for the person or the client, whether they like all these like extra lines or not. But I usually go on the cleaner side, just in case.
Sorry, guys. I know I kind of checked out for a second. He literally was mentioning learning about like color and color theory and things like that. And I literally had a book sitting on this side of me, which for whatever reason, I have no idea why, somehow moved to that side of me. But yeah, no, color theory, man. Get your books.
It's really important. It's not like super glamorous, but it's really important,
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of the most important things. I mean, how many times do you even see that where like a bad drawing is like kind of saved by good color?
Mm-hmm.
Man, so this is ready. Everybody.
I believe you're there, man.
So we're gonna go.
Especially just coming up with a rough draft of it, I believe we are 100% there because, mind you, remember the character who's riding these raptors. We're going to do in the next video.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, just having that, probably next week or the week after, we want to do a video on comics. Also, comics is a great thing. I mean, right now, obviously, comic sales are down, but the big thing about comics that's really nice is you can do your own thing, and other comics are up on the up, like Slice of Life comics, Scholastic comics, manga comics. All that stuff is selling like hotcakes, and like if that's kind of like what you like to draw, is just like kind of like, that kind of stuff, give it a shot. And if you like doing superheroes, obviously there's a ton, there's always been that stuff too. So
yeah, 100%, man. That's the great thing about your imagination, dude. There's literally no limit to anything that you could possibly do, and that's definitely in these videos that we are starting to do with this channel. We really want to bring that to life and just show you that there is no limit to the things that you can create, man. Like I said, we came up with this idea with literally just a phone call and just out of boredom.
Yeah.
A phone call and boredom led to what you're seeing on the screen right now.
And that's the thing, is anyone can do this. You guys just gotta do it, and
absolutely. And if you can't draw, and if you're not like the illustrator or anything along the lines of that, like I said, find, like, maybe you're the person who's the idea person. And I know sometimes in the videos, like, I stumble upon some of the things that I'm saying. I'm a person of more, I can show you better than I can tell you.
And that's the thing, is like, if you're a writer and and you're like, oh well, like, I got this great idea, find a friend who can draw, or if you got the money, hire an artist. Why not?
Exactly.
It doesn't got to be me, just could be anybody. Like, someone who's got a good style for what you're looking for. I mean, that's usually what it comes down to anyway. Is like, do are you good? Good. Are you it usually goes by the project.
Absolutely.
They want to see something in your portfolio that makes them be like, oh yeah, I want to work with that person. Like, that's the thing, is like, I've had, in the years of working freelance that I used to do a lot more, is like, people, when they would hire me, they would say, hey, I liked this thing in your portfolio, and that's why I called you, or that's why I sent you an email.
Absolutely.
So it's the same thing. And if you're a writer, put your stuff out there. You might get hired. I mean, a ton of writers do.
You just never know. I worked with a guy, his name was Matt Tuppen. What up, Matt? If you happen to watch this video. He was writing a script while we were working on the movie The Mustang, and he did it kind of as a second job. And he told me, he was like, dude, he's like, I used to think I really wasn't that great of a writer.
Yeah.
Until like I started reading other people's stuff who were getting paid for writing scripts.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like, it really doesn't matter if you don't think you're a good writer.
Yeah.
He was like, you're probably a lot better than what you believe.
And that's the big thing is like, you know, as an artist, it's not your job to evaluate your own work like that. Like, it's your job to like make your work the best you can and try to sell it and keep like improving all the time. But that's all it is, you know?
Absolutely, man.
All right, so let's take it to color.
Let's take it to color.
And fortunately, and see, here's the nice thing, people, is we've got it so tight here that color's going to be fast.
Yes. Especially considering the idea of the bird, you know, being dark.
Yeah.
Really definitely helps a lot too. And trying to add these iridescent style colors.
We'll see. We'll see if it helps or if it's more difficult. You never know with this kind of thing.
You never know. I don't know. In my mind, I see it as being an easy thing, but
yeah.
Oh no.
We'll see. I hope it's easy. I'm hoping you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what we're doing here. Okay. Can everyone see? Can you see my marker or no?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
It's on the whole screen, so I'm pretty sure that. Well, when we post the video, I think the whole screen as we're filming it, everyone will see it with the screen share.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Because it's almost like we're seeing your entire desktop.
Huh.
Or at least that's how I'm viewing it right here.
It's great. Perfect. Okay, so we'll go overlay, skin palette. Is it better this way, or is it better like we did it last week?
I think it works for what you've got going on. I think last week it worked how it was supposed to. Mm-hmm. This week, it's like we can see the different layers that are going on, so it all kind of works. However, you might want to pull this one out from in front of that raptor, just so that way we can kind of see the tail end. I think that's what it's trying to do. Bang. So this is your overlay?
Yeah. Can you still see it or no?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Cool.
100%, man.
Cool.
Nice.
So we do kind of the same thing. Just because I kind of like that kind of thing going on here.
So we're all watching in real time, people.
Yeah, this is all real time.
John
this
trying
isn't pre-recorded.
No, John trying to create this this iridescence within this clip art. Let's see if he can do it. I believe him. I believe he can do it. I believe in him.
Well, we'll see. We're
gonna check it out. In the meanwhile, man, while I'm sitting here thinking about it, if there's anything that you guys, the viewers, happen to want to see us do, or if you have any ideas on things we can do, like as far as things you might want to know, definitely please leave it in the comments below, man. We definitely try to check them daily. We're going to start uploading videos more regularly as we take this journey into becoming content creators.
Yeah.
So we definitely hope to have some interviews lined up.
Yeah.
With some people that also work in the industry, and get other people's perspectives on it, get other people's takes on it.
I actually talked to my friend I was telling him from the last episode, Garrett Rich. I talked to him.
Oh yeah.
And he said that he's down.
Nice.
He said he should be available. He said she should be in. So I'm like, all right, we'll do it, man.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to schedule them in. We're gonna have to schedule them in. Yeah, man. We've got a lot of ideas, man, to go for this channel. To definitely keep it picking up. We'll definitely have more concept art coming on here. Definitely, I'm gonna throw some Photoshop tutorials in there, like maybe some different edits, and maybe take a break from our story as we're building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just go into a couple different more things, and then we'll come back to it. Just let us know. You, the viewers, man, comment down below or DM us, man, and let us know exactly what it is that you guys want to see. Maybe we're not covering something.
Yeah. Anything, and yeah, and also if you guys want to see us to draw anything, or maybe you guys got some ideas for the movie.
Absolutely.
We would love to hear that. Maybe you guys got some character ideas.
Yes.
Maybe you guys got some animal ideas. Whatever you got, go ahead and send it. We also have the Movie Poop Shoots email attached to, and it's just like how the channel spelled, Movie Poop Shoots @gmail.
Yep. And you can go ahead and email us there, man. Everything that we're saying to you right now, we'll try to make sure we link in the description below.
Yeah.
So, take the time, man, go over there, read everything over, check out some of our different works, man.
Yeah. Please do.
Yeah.
And follow us and check out the stuff we've got.
Yeah. We're kind of bushwicked from dealing with all of the technical problems that we dealt with. It's a late night tonight, you know what I'm saying? So the energy isn't the same as the last video, but you can't always get us happy, man.
But we can always still make the video.
We can always still make the video, man.
People.
Yeah. We're not gonna let anything stop us at all. From any stretch of the
this is kind of what I would do. This is kind of the same technique I was talking about in the last episode.
Yeah.
This is how and it looks crazy right here, right?
It does. You got the iridescent colors coming.
I do. It's in there.
It's in there. It's coming through.
And then so the only difference is look at that. That looks all right, huh?
It does. It's going there, dude.
I know. I was a little suspicious. I was like, well, I don't know, but yeah, it's looking great.
Nah, yeah. This shit's looking phenomenal.
So then this is what I would do. I would just push around a little paint here. I mean, that's the nice thing, again, people, for just like, when you get it really tight in that grayscale there. And I probably would have even got it tighter, if I was doing this for a client or a job.
Mm-hmm.
But, for us, for what we're working on, where this is just really, showing the concept of it all and the design of it all.
Yeah.
I think it's great,
They're all kind of rough edges.
For when you're doing a character design, you always want it to show the whole thing.
Yeah. Hey, John, I just had an idea, man.
What's that?
I just had an idea. Some of these concept arts that you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Got to turn maybe one or two or all of them into some kind of merch, dude.
I know, man.
And we'll do giveaways to the people out there, man.
And I think we got a giveaway coming next week, next week, right? For a shirt.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if we're gonna start the giveaway quite next week. It's gonna be close though.
Maybe maybe it might be the week after.
Well, what is coming next week? Is the merch line. The merch line will definitely be attached to the YouTube channel. You could definitely go there and support us in that way.
That's right. Sorry about that, people. That's right. It'll be available for buying, and then shortly after that, we'll be giving some away.
Absolutely, man. We're gonna have little, contests or just little ways that we can try to give back to the community as we start to grow, man. And I know
interact with our fans,
but hey, you know what I'm saying? The merch line, it looks nice, man. It looks nice. And definitely if we start using some of these concept arts that you got going on here, man, like maybe some of these can actually be like the giveaways where there'll only be.
Oh yeah, I'd love to do that.
Pieces.
Yeah, we can give away some prints.
We can give away some prints, or like I said, we can use them, print them on like a T-shirt, print them on like a cup, print them on like just a print.
Yeah,
a signed print, even. You know what I mean? Who knows?
Mm-hmm. And we'll also have our PayPal listed below, so you guys can donate if you'd like, you know, and help us out in any way. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Support the channel, man. We all got to support each other in this business. And if you guys have channels that you'd like us to come check out, man, link them in the description below. Maybe you're watching, maybe this is the first time you're watching this video and it's 2 years from now, right? And I'm sure 2 years we're going to look back on this and go, hey, look at what we were doing and look at where we've come, right?
Yeah, sure.
So if you're that person who is here 2 years down the road, man, welcome. And I know I'm saying this late in the video, but welcome anyways. And that giveaway is probably already done for you, but don't worry, we've got many more to come. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to our future viewers.
So this is the same kind of thing that we did last time, is like just kind of pushing paint around. Mm-hmm. You know, kind of it. You know, right here, you don't want to be like this. You're not like trying to push it all out of it. You know, you're trying to just push it around gently because we got some nice color in there already.
Yeah.
So we want to use that. We don't want to, you know, we don't want to dark it all out.
No. And that's the interesting thing about, like, you know, the idea of you know, with the crow, right? And that's why I had it in my mind, you know, the way the crows look, right? Crows are fascinating birds. They're extremely intelligent birds. And just the overall look of them, it's like they look like they're just straight up black, right? But as soon as that sun hits them, so thinking about where that sun might be hitting, you might see more color.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just things that you might want to incorporate, not necessarily you right now because you're doing it, but for you, the viewer.
No, that's a good point.
Thinking about, like, think about where that light might hit. And that's why some of these lighting techniques, as we get further into it, I definitely plan to have some of the friends come on, man, and we'll all do like a lighting setup and show you some different tips and tricks and techniques on how things actually get done, like to create like different moods and different, you know, lighting setups, man.
See, and I'm excited to hear about that too, because all that stuff I can use in my paintings, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. And
all that stuff helps, you know?
It does.
And that's the cool thing, is like, you know, all the arts, they're all related.
They are. Everything, man. Everything. When you start really doing art, and for anybody who's an artist out there, I'm sure you'll definitely relate to it. And like, once you really get into it and you really start thinking like this, the world starts to look a whole lot different.
Yeah. Like, you
can't help but to notice things.
That's the thing.
In the world. It's like everything is a canvas.
That's the thing, is, you know, people used to talk about that to me, and I was like, what? You know, that's crazy. And it's like, but, you know, like being like, oh, how would I be able to like look at how like light falls and how like shadows hit all the time? And it's like, you know, just after a while of doing it all the time, you just, so you look at everything, you're like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. You know?
Yeah. It's like, it just makes sense.
So then we're going back into it with we're going back into it with, what the heck's going on here? With this, so we're going back in. So we've actually got the raptor kind of right where we want him. You know, it's not totally there, but it's going to be there soon.
It's very close.
So then we're just kind of gonna go here. Maybe even do it like a little darker of a tone, just to set this down first.
Yeah.
But yeah, see something like this. And again, you see that skin tone, you know, that magical skin tone stuff going on.
Skin tone's coming alive.
And you gotta think, if people were just racing these things, it'd be so crazy. It'd be like the chariot races. It'd be like super crazy.
Yeah.
Sure, very dangerous, you know?
Extremely dangerous. You know what's very interesting? Is that the raptor you have right now is almost very close to the exact raptor I had in my head, who was like the conqueror raptor. But I think it's very unique that you've got the jockey on there, because it really adds like a different element. It's like this vicious beast that is also used for sport, you know?
Yeah, totally. I mean, you gotta think that's kind of how a horse is too, right? Like it's a massive animal, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's serious.
It is. They're just playing no games. And it's funny. So when I was talking about collaboration, because in my mind, I never thought about using the Raptors for game and sport. But why wouldn't they? You know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where my head went with it. You know, I was like, well, you know, it's the future, but you know, what's that thing about Khan and Kirk? He's like, oh, man's changed a lot. And he's like, no, man hasn't changed at all. He's like, you know, it's just like all the stuff around him has changed.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing. It's like, what would it be? It'd be the same thing. It'd be people betting on this stupid stuff. You know what I mean? And
absolutely. And mind you, it's not to say that technology is completely dead. So there's definitely still technology around in this world. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they would have tried to get it back online, even though that most of their towers that they had, they would have had to use what was left over, what was, you know, what was remained from, you know, the whole explosion and everything. But I feel like, you know, humans are such, you know, in a weird way, I feel like we're kind of like a virus. Like, we adapt and we spread very fast. As soon as we adapt, we spread like wildfire. And that's how I imagine that the new world would be, that even though we got knocked back down like probably a couple million years, that we just got back up and just started living again.
Yeah.
And just now with new things. Now we just have new elements to it. Now we can stop guessing what dinosaurs were like and actually seeing.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing with all this art stuff is, you know, it's like like we can just keep making it as far as your imagination can go.
Yeah, dude, I that looks incredible, man.
Thank you.
The question is, what color would their eyes be? I see their eyes being like almost like an ochre color, maybe?
A what?
And like an ochre color?
Oh, really?
Kind of, sort of.
I kind of see it as like a yellow or a bright something.
Maybe a combination of the two.
Let's see. And if you guys see me pulling down my colors all the time, it's because I don't want it that saturated.
Nah. Nice.
It's creepy. Cool. It looks fast.
It does. That thing look vicious.
See, and this is the cool thing, people, is like, you know, like I never would have come up with something like this on my own. You know, it's just not to my sensibility.
Nah.
You know, it's just not where my brain would have went, you know. But, you know, with James being like, hey, you know, this is my idea. And then I'm like, you know, well, that idea sounds cool. Let me see if I can add this and I can add that and I can add this and that, you know. And then after a while, it becomes better than either of us could have come up individually.
Absolutely.
And then it becomes something that's, you know, in its own unique, you know. And I think that's why it's hard, like when they talk about like, oh, this comic artist and this comic writer invented this thing and that thing. And they're like, well, who really invented it? It's like, well, you know, a little bit of both sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it was literally probably just an idea that two people sat down, maybe 2, 3, 4 people sometimes, you know?
Exactly.
I feel like things can start getting a little jumbled if it's just 4 people on an idea. But
Yeah.
if you think about it, right? Like you
Mhm.
spoke about that, you know, first it's going to go to a person who's going to pencil it, right? Who's going to basically sketch it all out. Then from there, it's going to go to a person who's going to actually put in all the details. And then from there, like there's layers to it, you know?
So many. Yeah.
From there, it's going to go to a color person. So it's like the creature really didn't get, someone might have conceptualized it in their mind, like thinking about it for a story. But when it actually comes to life, it takes multiple people to do so.
It really does, you know, and that's the thing, you know. You just create, and you hope something's good.
Yeah, dude, that shit is hardcore right there, man.
See, and the nice thing is, I was saying this earlier, I'm using a multiply layer, and again, I'm using that because I love a lot of what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't want to paint over that. You know, like let's say if I did a regular layer, you know, that's not what I want.
Nah.
You know. So the multiply layer kind of
want some of that color to come out of the black.
That multiply layer is really nice because it preserves all that information coming from under it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so right now I'm just kind of going through kind of like a loose pencil. What do you think they'd make these out of, James, if they were doing like a practical creature? What do you think they'd make these feathers out of? They wouldn't use feathers, right?
They actually might.
Really?
That would be more in a
practical effects.
It'd be more in it would be in a house where there's actually a house. Let me get my thoughts together. There is actually a place in Hollywood. There's a studio where they design monsters. I can't remember the name of it, but that is their only job, is they come up with a creature, like someone comes up with a design like what we did, and their job is to build it and use different level. Honestly, they're like makeup artists, just on an extreme level.
No, I agree.
And so, it would basically go to them. However, if we were going to do a practical creature and we just wanted to build it together, I mean, honestly, we'd probably use foam. Depends on how much movement this thing is going to do and how technical you needed it to be. There's a lot of layers to it. So it was just like maybe like a statue type thing. Maybe we'd find a place to get like a block of foam or something. Maybe it was just like a statue.
Yeah.
And
well, in real life, what they probably do is they probably, you know, make it all in 3D, but then they would keep like a head around, right?
Yeah.
Just to be able to shoot it and talk to it and do all that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it depended on how really you needed it to be and was it moving.
Yeah.
But if we were creating it in just a statue to my abilities, probably find someone to either 3D print it or do some type of foam sculpting of it, you know what I mean? And then we paint it, and then we'd basically layer it, you know what I'm saying? We'd probably try to find some like black iridescent feathers, or we'd find something that had black feathers. Like if I wanted to do like a smaller model of it, or, you know, maybe 3 or 4 feet tall or something like that, you know, we'd probably just find some like black feathers and then get iridescent paint and, you know, make them iridescent in that way.
Cool.
And just kind of put it together. But there's many ways to skin that cat.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing with Photoshop. You know, there's like a million ways to go about it.
Yeah. But if you really wanted to bring it to life, man, there is a studio out in LA that their whole job is to design monsters, dude.
That's awesome. I think I don't know. I might be wrong, but I thought Industrial Light and Magic does a lot of that stuff too.
Industrial Light and Magic?
Yeah.
I'm actually not familiar with the place.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like the biggest, like, So George Lucas owns it. It's like Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
He made it with that stuff. Probably people who don't know Industrial Light and Magic, it's basically a company that they invented like a lot of what would become like the special effects we all use, like people all know about like nowadays. I think they worked on Jurassic Park, in fact.
Oh, okay.
This is looking great, dude.
People might hate me, but I'm actually not the biggest fan of Star Wars. Like I didn't follow the story. Well, the original, yeah, but I didn't follow it.
I like the original.
Yes. Not the biggest Star Wars fan. Don't hate me, people. I'm sorry. It's just me. That's why there's two of us. We got the guy who likes Star Wars down below and the guy who kind of likes Star Wars up above.
So we are finishing up, people.
There it is.
This is looking pretty cool. I mean, it seems to have nailed everything we were looking for.
Yeah.
You know, it was like it's like a crazy futuristic, and at the same time somehow in the past.
And yet, at the same time, it really embodies like all the elements of those things that we were definitely looking for, dude.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing, you know, is like we looked at some reference, we looked at some cool stuff, and then, you know, that gave us a lot of the ability to do this.
You know what's very interesting about it? It really gives me that Crow vibe.
Yeah, he looks very cool.
Like as if it was almost kind of mixed with some Crow. Like to me, he represents death.
Really?
Yes. He represents death. And so let me explain on that, right? The reason why he represents death. So in my mind, what these creatures were originally used for, right? So the writer that you've got on there right now, excellent writer, right?
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm viewing the king guy on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so all of these animals were used for basically helping them conquer all of their lands. You know, these are the animals that they ride when they're getting ready to go take over some stuff.
Kind of like the Game of Thrones things.
Yeah,
Dragons in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, absolutely. Except for the fact that it's almost like these aren't in the sky coming through and like burning everything up. Like
no,
on the ground. These are like I envision like this army that is almost like night, right? You know what I'm saying? Like they'd come by night, you couldn't see them in the dark. You know what I mean? Except for like maybe some of their gold that they're wearing. That's why I don't want to say too much because it gets into too much of the idea that I want to kind of keep reserved for the character that we build of the people who ride them. But I see these creatures as these are like their weapons, you know?
That's actually, we were saying that, weren't we?
Yes.
Because we were saying how, like, you know, in this world where like there's this huge economic divide.
Mm-hmm.
All the rich people kind of had like the Elon Musk kind of civilization, right?
Exactly.
And then the people outside, kind of outside that kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of what they've had to do, is they've kind of had to learn and train.
It's just like
Avatar.
Yeah, it's just like how in society we actually did come up. You know what I'm saying? You've got the very rich and you've got the very poor. It's just as we move through time, technology just gets better. We just have technology. So now in this time, technology still exists, but we're now rebuilding it over 1,000 years. Now, mind you, within literally with how fast technology has advanced, literally with just in the past 10 years,
yeah,
how fast technology has advanced is absolutely incredible. But we're coming from a world who's had all of this technology where pretty much we've collapsed on itself. All of that technology that we once knew, you're not going to be able to just immediately get back to using it. I mean, maybe we will. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of things that we'll be able to dig up and, you know, we'll start. But mind you, maybe some of the people who knew how to make that technology and how to do that, they aren't necessarily around. So we're starting from scratch, and we've got to teach the generations before us in how to live in these hostile environments. Because think about it, right? When this comet hits this earth, it splits continents and does things like that and causes all kinds of mass destruction.
And this is for a story. Anyone who's just joined us.
Yeah, anyone who's just joining us, it's just for a story. We're making this stuff up as we go along, right? But yeah, it split countries, done all of these things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that technology even really around? The technology we have today that we use? I in my mind, I don't see it all the way being there. You know what I mean? I feel like some of it would have been reserved, but they would have now had to like rebuild it to get the internet back to the way it was. And maybe we still aren't even able to do
I don't even think they would. Yeah, because what do they say? They say like something like, I forgot what it was. It was a small amount of people, like all these people use all this technology, and it was only like 5% of people who know how to build any of it.
Yes.
So it's like, and like we were saying, like maybe there'd be like a pocket of civilization
who knew some things.
Yeah.
You know?
But for most people, they'd just kind of be out there.
Absolutely. And
right,
they
people,
have
so we're finishing this up maybe another 5 minutes, and then we'll call it.
Yeah, it's looking amazing though, dude. I'm gonna actually need a copy of that.
See, so how we're saying, like, you know, like instincts with the art, like this is like your instinct is to bring out the brights, and then you bring out all the brights, but that's too bright, you know. So we cut that in half. That looks really good.
Yeah, no, that looks
really subtle, really nice. Looks very natural.
Yeah, I love it, dude.
See, to me, like, you know, what these creatures represent is kind of they're neutral. You know, they're like any animal. You know, they're kind of, and I think they you know, in my the way I see it in my story that I'm looking at here is I see it as kind of like you know, these people use these things for everything.
Yeah.
You know, so there's some that they'll use, you know, that they'll ride, you know, obviously at war and stuff like that. And then there'll be other ones that they'll ride for a race. And then there'll be other ones that they ride, you know, or, you know, this one and other dinosaurs too, that they'll ride, you know, for, what is it called? Like, you know, like they'll just throw some groceries on it.
Right.
Or something like that, you know, and that's kind of the reference we saw here, this Dinotopia one.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Again,
this is
James
exactly
Gurney's
what
art.
it is, man.
But it's like that one's not very fierce. It's just kind of kicking it.
Right.
He's just kind of chilling.
Nah.
Yeah. So this, yeah. So I'm just finishing up. What is this called? The
saddle.
That's it. Thank you, man. This is the saddle. Finishing that up, and then.
So if you actually zoom out, right?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Finish up these sandals, and then the last part of this. There we go.
So I actually appreciate the fact that you kind of did someone different on top of it.
Yeah.
Because it really will allow us to kind of hone in on who's writing this particular creature in our next one.
Yeah, totally.
So it's kind of like
looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of like we censored whoever was on the right, who was the writer on this thing. It's like we kind of censored him.
Let's see. I don't like either of those. I kind of like this one. Yeah, that's better. More natural.
Nice. So you're trying to do it kind of like a shade almost?
That's like a goggles.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was meaning.
Bam.
Bam.
So we got it pretty good.
Nice.
So again, like, you know, like I was saying before on the last episode, if this, you know, we would clean this up a bunch more, you know, if we were like throwing this for, you know, a meeting, but But as it is, you know, for what we did today, I think it looks great. You know, I'm really happy with it. Really happy with what it turned out to be. I mean, especially how long we've been here painting. We've only been painting maybe like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then maybe I worked on another hour before that. So I'm talking about, you know, not that much time, and then a totally completed character.
Yeah. And dude, it looks incredible. So we got it zoomed out. So you know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
It reminds me of looking at it from a distance of the little polo man on the Ralph Lauren clothing.
Oh, how funny.
But
I love
it's
that.
just like a totally different thing. Like this is a clothing brand all in itself. Like that's its logo.
I love that.
And so there was actually a name. There's a name that I was trying to come up with. Damn, I forgot how to pronounce it. So basically, the name of the people who were riding these raptors, who were their soldiers, were the and if I say this wrong, because mind you, I'm trying to say it in Arabic, and I don't speak Arabic, but you know, just coming up with the names, Asmar Rakib, right? So that was the name that I was going to give the people that were riding, and basically what it means is the Black Rider. And so in the translation is that these are the people who ride the black raptors, you know?
Oh, okay.
And, you know, they're coming from the place of Horace Asmir. No, is it Asmir? Oh no. Correct me in the thing below. But anyways, I'll make sure I get my pronunciation right for these things right here. But yeah, which is basically they're coming from the city of the bird god who rules, who overcomes everything. And these are their riders. Just to give a little history on them. What I've got in the works for developing this story. So adding a little red to it. Ah.
There you go.
There it is.
It was a good thing we didn't mess up because we never even saved that the whole time.
Always make sure you save your work as you're going along.
Yeah, please.
Always. Because God forbid you mess something up and you can't undo it, or if you lose the file, and then all that work that we just did, gone. Puff of smoke.
And see, you know, I like this little piece in the middle, like this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that at first, but I'm realizing that now that it actually doesn't look that great in the silhouette.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of looks out of place.
It just kind of looks funky, you know?
Yeah. Because if you think about it, like everything's flowing back. Like, why is that one?
Yeah, why would she have that? It'd make the air would be terrible.
Yeah.
So I'll get rid of that. And I noticed that I want a little bit of the red to pop up on the back, and then I think we're done, man.
And there it is. Cool. And we're gonna actually give these creatures a name. If anybody has like any fun ideas for a name for this creature, comment below, man.
Yeah.
We're all about viewer engagement.
Exactly. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of it. And then, yeah, just getting rid of this thing. And we are good to go, people. Thank you guys for staying around tonight. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
hope
absolutely.
you guys learned something. Hope you guys had some fun. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. Hope you enjoyed this character. We had a lot of fun making it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I was a little late tonight, so the energy was a little low, but that's okay, people, man. We're going to come back full stronger, and we've got many more characters to go.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, if you guys have any ideas, just anything, just to say, if you just want to say, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Comment below or hit us on the Gmail or hit us on the
But, add your characters. We'd love to hear some characters. We'd love to add them. We'd love to do some drawings. Whatever you guys want to do.
Definitely, man. Definitely. You want to hear more about lighting? You want to hear more about
Yeah.
some set decoration or this or that, man? And I definitely, when I get the opportunity to do so, and I'm able to get like a different camera, I'm not sure how I'm gonna work it. Maybe I'll use my phone or something, or I'll set some up. That'll actually be interesting to actually use the phone, use what we got, right?
Yeah.
So I'll actually use the phone, and do some light setup. You know what I mean?
I think that'd be great.
I'll light it. So yeah, just use what we got. You know what I mean? And as we develop more, and we'll get more, we'll start from the bottom, and then we'll work our way up.
Yeah. All right, people. Well, here you go. In just about 2 hours, totally completed character concept art.
And we've got our creature.
From that,
because this is the creature art.
From just in not a lot of time.
No, not really.
Not a lot of time. And see, that's the ultimate test. You drop the line art, see it still looks good. So that's ultimately what I would do if this was real life. I'd probably do that. I'd probably do the line art, get rid of the line art, and then I'd like clean it all up and make sure that everything looked like a painting. But it's really close.
Yeah.
And I will show you guys shortly how far we've come.
So it's gonna kind of have a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah. You'll just be able to see the pencils. So you'll be able to see the pencil there, just a little easier. You can kind of see it there. It's like kind of shining through.
Yeah.
But this is what it was. This is where we were at just 2 hours ago.
Wow.
It's pretty incredible, people, huh?
So it went from that to what we colored in.
Yeah, so it went from that. Then we did the grayscale. So then it looked like this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So then it looked like this. And then finally, so that's a lot of work, guys. So we did this to that. To that.
To that. Bam. Beautiful, man. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you, everybody.
Bravo to that, man. And more of this story as we develop it, man, and as we come up with this world. We'll definitely soon be doing a map. I think the next the next character art, I do believe we'll go ahead and we'll start the writer of this guy. And along the way, you know what I'm saying, as I start thinking of more places, I'll come up with more ideas. I'll bring them to John. John will come up with some ideas. Yep. And we'll bring you guys more characters, man. And this is just where we'll start from here, and then we'll move on to bigger and better things, man. We'll definitely start trying to get some movie reviews up. But again, we're, waiting on the other computer to get fixed, man.
But yeah, but next week we'll probably have an interview, and we'll do some more concept art. I wanted to do a tutorial about comics, and James is probably gonna do a tutorial on lighting.
Yep.
So between all that stuff, and James is gonna do that tutorial on lighting, I'm gonna follow it. I'm gonna have some great lighting for myself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, maybe honestly, dude. I'll send you like a little list of some things to get that you can buy from not necessarily the grocery store, but you can go to the hardware store and grab a couple of things, man. And you should be able to get all set up, man, and have it looking somewhat similar to my video.
Perfect.
And each time I'm going to try to do a little bit more to my video. Is my phone ringing? Sorry, people. This is to my auntie. You're a major hater for interrupting my video.
All right. And with that, people, we'll wish you guys all a good night. And, you know, hopefully we'll see you on the next video.
Yes.
Like James has said, leave any comments, leave any ideas about any videos we can make, anything you're interested in, whether it's like concept art or comic books or any part of that, like anything, the things we discussed today. Like maybe you're like, hey, what do you mean penciling a comic book? We can show you how to do that. What do you mean inking? We can show you how to do that. What do you mean coloring? We can show you how to do that.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by all the different lighting stuff? So, you know, whatever you guys want us to cover, we'll be happy to cover. And, you know,
absolutely. And if you need more in-depth, detailed stuff, you know what I mean, or you want a lot more information, yeah, just let us know, man. I'll make sure that I grab all the information. Sometimes, man, my brain just farts up on me, and like I said, I'm more of a I can show you better than I can tell you type person. But even with that being said, I can definitely still explain it. Just needs to be more specific. But before you leave, definitely remember to hit the thumbs up button. Yeah. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Hit the bell notification, hit the notification bell, so that way you can be updated on all of the things that we post. We definitely plan to bring you guys a lot of content, man. We've got a lot of great ideas, and we're just going to keep this thing developing. We're going to keep this wheel moving. Hope to see those numbers up for this video more than where they were the last one. Beautiful piece of artwork, man. Maybe in one of the later a few videos down the road, we'll start doing our little giveaways. Maybe this could be one of the things.
Yeah.
I had a great time with you people, man.
Same. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Peace out.